Yeah, you're welcome to teach shit. This is like a phone, baby. This is it. This is it. Come on and give a shit.
Alright, let's see what we got here.
Are you recording that one?
What one?
The camera.
Oh,
Yes.
she is. She's
okay.
got the camera's just recording into itself. I can't see what it's
Right.
doing. Yeah.
Are you rolling?
Rolling.
Okay,
Yeah.
now I want to share my quick anecdote, which was I think it's funny that so we made tea for the last guest that we had, and for your recommendation for the tea, I made her the same tea, but for you were like vanilla oat milk. And for Danny Jackson, I definitely just put Jack Daniels in there.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
two types of people.
Makes sense.
Two types of people. A little bit of booze, a
Yeah,
little bit
yeah.
of vanilla oat milk.
Right on. Or both.
Or
Mhm.
both.
Porque
I
no
mean,
los
I do
dos?
think
Mhm.
Jack Daniels and vanilla oat
I think that'd be sick.
and Bengal spice tea
Yeah.
is like the new hot toddy, but it's like the hot
Right.
tiger.
Hot tiger.
I do like a hot toddy.
Where's
I
my
grew up-
tiger shirt? Where's
I
your
grew
wolf
up
shirt?
on
we
a
have
rum
to
toddies.
grapple.
Why are you guys gonna wrestle each other?
We
Hopefully.
did wrestle each other once. I was wearing a tiger shirt and
No.
Jacob.
I was wearing
a bear-
tiger. You were wearing wolf.
Oh, I also have a tiger shirt.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Not
You could do
surprised.
double
Cool.
tiger.
Tiger on
Um,
tiger action.
Yeah, dude, I'm so here for wrestling.
Sweet.
Okay, a way that we start every Squish episode is that we, before I even go into anything, we just think of the first song that comes to your head and then we squishify it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, think of any song anytime and then we're going to add the word squish and
Mm.
switch it out and it's going to be funny.
Oh, it's such a perfect day.
I wanna squish with you.
Oh,
It's such a perfect day. And to
Just
keep on squishing on. Just keep on squishing on. You officially get our most hipster
Yeah.
interviewer
very-
guest, I think the word is. 'Cause that's
I practiced this move that I was
Wonderfully
gonna do when it
niche.
first started.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, what's he gonna do? Is it gonna be me and Julio down by the schoolyard?
It's so funny that you bring that up. My server at the biscuits and gravy spot that I went to yesterday, his name was Julio.
Oh, and immediately your brain was like, me and Julio down by
Down
the
by
schoolyard.
the schoolyard.
That's a great song.
Yeah, that song has a lot of funny memories for me too.
Mm.
I'm
Mm.
recently
Paul
just
Simon.
discovering Paul Simon.
Paul Simon.
Mm.
Like I've always known of him, but I
Call
haven't
Me Al
done
is
the
one of
deep
Dane's
dive.
favorite songs. We covered it for him a few times. Yeah,
That's great. That's so cool.
Capital
With the
Collective
horns?
covered it.
With the horns?
Yeah, with Capital Collective, so like full horns, everything. It was very fun.
Damn.
So I love doing Paul Simon when there's a full horn
You can
section.
call me out. That's cool.
Mhm. Also the harmonies in his music.
Yeah,
really
with
good.
both Art Garfunkel,
Yes.
of course.
Yes.
Can't just talk about Paul Simon without talking about art.
We can't talk about today without talking about Jacob. Jacob LaRocque?
Jacob LaRocque-Wall.
LaRocque-Wall. LaRocque-Wall.
Yeah, it's triple name.
I like
Philip
it.
Seymour Hoffman or
It makes me
Paul Thomas Anderson.
want to climb. It makes me want to
Sure.
go climbing because
Yeah.
LaRocque-Wall.
True.
That's what I thought. Too.
Yeah, I normally use it as like a defensive nickname,
Oh,
like in team sports, ball sports
Yeah.
or hockey.
yeah.
I always play defense.
Okay.
You
Can't get past the wall.
Yeah. Jinx.
What sports did you play in high school?
Mostly basketball. That was my favorite, but I also played baseball
Okay.
and hockey.
Baseball's like a niche thing that like
Uh-huh.
you either get into or you really don't even know exists.
Right. True. Honestly,
And
true.
I only
my
really
siblings played it, and my high
Mhm.
school became like they had like
baseball
a
school?
academy. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Tiger Cats. Hoo ha!
I don't know
Yeah,
what they're called.
exactly.
They were the Lions when I went there. It was
Yeah.
Lambrick.
Oh, I was the Lions
Lambrick.
too.
yeah.
Cool.
That's awesome.
We played basketball there a couple times.
Yeah.
Oh.
I
We
was
got
there right
destroyed.
as they were like funneling money into the baseball academy. They didn't
Right.
have it, but it was like they were already known for like baseball. And one of the kids who was I think he was a year older than me or in my year, I can't remember, Saunders. He was drafted to the Mariners.
Wow.
Yeah.
Saunders?
So they
Cool.
did do a good baseball thing there.
Nice,
They
nice.
did a good baseball.
They did a good baseball. We
They-
also there was a basketball player who got
Mm.
signed somewhere crazy too.
That's cool.
Jeepers Creepers.
Jeepers
Mhm.
Creepers indeed.
Are you from Ontario as well?
No, Parksville, BC.
Parksville.
I was born in
BC.
Vancouver, but I was raised in
Yeah.
Parksville.
Okay, cool. And then how long did you live on the island? 'Cause
Since
it's
you were
been
like
back
2
and
or
forth.
something.
Yeah, 2.5.
Yeah.
Two and a half. We moved to. We were staying at a hotel in Parksville for a little while, because my brother was born, and we decided, I didn't have any input.
You're 2.5. They're
was
like,
2.5.
what do you want to do,
They're
man?
like, do you want to go?
We
to
need your
Vancouver
advice.
Island? I was
They
like,
thought of
okay.
you while making the decision.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely influenced part of that
Yeah.
because my parents were living in Vancouver for a while. They met in the 90s playing in bands and such.
Cool. Your parents are both musicians?
Yeah.
What did they do before sideways, side segue?
Sure, let's get back to where I was raised
Yes,
after we talk
yes.
about my parents.
Correct. Thank you.
Sure.
English.
Yeah, my parents they met doing punk music in Vancouver. My dad's band is called, they were Sick Sick Yeah. And my mom's band was Knockdown Ginger.
That's awesome.
They got on Much Music at one point.
Really?
Yeah, they have a
That's
music
cool.
video that's out there.
Oh, we need to find
It's really
that.
sweet.
and
Yeah,
put a
let's
clip
plug
into
that.
this.
Knockdown Ginger. It's
Okay,
really cool.
hell yeah. And what instruments did they play?
My mom is bass singer.
Oh my god.
My dad is guitar singer.
Oh my god, so your mom's hot.
Well, I'm not going to say that.
Sasha.
Okay, and then back to the original story.
How long did that take for you to tell him his mom was hot? That wasn't long.
Right,
I think
right.
it's a
That
compliment.
was a long walk to get to. Can I have your mom's number?
Yeah. Let me segue into your parents so I
Right.
can hit on your mom
Right.
for a second.
Yeah. My dad was hot too back in the day.
Yeah,
I-
equality, Tasha.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
Guitarist, singer
Uh-huh.
takes a lot of gonads,
Yeah.
and then we've got Jacob, who is a little bit of every
All of
kind
those
of
things, yeah.
instrument, and specifically holds the microphone like this.
Yeah, when I'm rapping,
Yes, only.
just in case.
But yeah, so then you moved.
That doesn't hurt your mic, Tasha. Helps.
It helped.
Oh yeah. What about?
It was funny. I was like, it actually did something to
Yeah.
that mic for some reason.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This mic has been submerged in water several times.
Sweet.
Oh, that could explain some
That's
things.
probably-
Right.
I love that I went out and bought new cables without
Mm.
thinking
That's
about that.
hilarious.
Mm.
Anyways, so
You're
then you
fine.
moved to the
Whiskey
island.
Creek.
You moved to Whiskey
We
Creek.
lived in Whiskey Creek for a number of years
Gnarly.
in a big log house.
What?
Yeah, we had chickens.
Ah.
My brother's first word is chicken.
That's cute.
Isn't that nice?
Are you French? Because of LaRocque?
Oui, mais mon père il vient de
Montréal?
Ottawa.
Ottawa.
Ouais, d'Ontario. Ouais.
Okay.
We'll put
Ontario.
subtitles.
Oui, je parle français.
Okay.
My brother's first word was fan, and he was in
Mhm.
French immersion. So whenever they'd ask him, like, what was your first word? He would be like, ventilateur.
Oh, really?
They're like,
That's
damn.
great.
That's great.
So I was just gonna ask, was
Oh,
it chicken or was it poule?
Poule.
Poule?
No, my brother didn't speak French at that time.
No. Okay.
He was like a year old.
Yeah, it was just. That sounds really romantic. Actually,
Mhm.
living in a log house.
It
in
was
Whiskey
really
Creek.
cool. I have some good memories from there.
Yeah.
I learned to ride a bicycle at that house, and I remember the first time taking off and being like, yeah,
Hell
this is
yeah.
piloting. It was on a gravel driveway, so there
That's
was
like that
extra
first taste of freedom.
incentive.
You're like, this is freedom. This is so cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm in control of where I go.
Yeah.
And I'm going fast.
I think it's called locomotion.
Yeah.
I
I
think.
remember the first time I learned to
Mansplaining
ride a bike.
bicycling to us, Jacob.
I-
Come on.
It's called bicycle because
I
there
learned
are two
on
wheels.
I learned on a Care Bear bike in a trailer
Nice.
park.
Oh,
we,
sick.
we stayed in the summers at this place called Bissell's Hideaway, and I remember fully
Mm.
learning too. It's
That's
one of the
a good
memories
feeling,
you
yeah.
stick to.
It's like riding a bike, Tasha.
Oh my god.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember. My first bike ride?
you said that was terrible.
No, I'm just mad. I'm mad at this stupid
I'm
joke.
still
that he
mad
made
about it. Oh my god.
minutes ago.
locomotion?
The joke that I set him up for, and then he did a better one than me, and now I'm mad about it.
We'll wrestle later.
I just remember, cycling like with my brother on my T-Rex purple and green tricycle, and just loving it. And then I had bike buddies with my parents, and that's like the attachment that goes on the back of an adult bike. You have a single wheel, but in like fake wheel
Right.
handlebars, and you get to pedal. And I
Mm.
remember my parents were so obsessed with them, they let us ride with them until I was probably too big to be on the back of one of
Mhm.
those. And then we were racing one time, my dad and my brother on one, my mother and I on the other, and we fucking gunned it on a gravel trail. And I started wobbling, my mom started
Oh
wobbling,
boy.
and then we ate it.
Yeah.
We ate the ground with my face, with her face, and she lost a tooth.
No. One of the good ones.
Ours were so
front one.
smooth.
Oh
Yeah, she
man,
lost
that's one of the worst ones to
Front
lose.
tooth.
Oh yeah, that is.
Yeah, killed it on site.
Ooh.
Dead in action.
Yeah.
MIA.
But did you find the tooth in the gravel?
It only chipped, and then it
Oh,
like
okay.
died, like it went black, but it
Right.
didn't fall out fully.
Oh dang.
But I always felt so bad. I was like she went unconscious too. So I was like, I've killed my other bike buddy.
Were you winning though at that point?
I definitely think that qualifies as definitely not winning, but
Were you in the lead at the time?
He's
of
talking about
failing?
up until the ass over tea
I
kettle.
don't remember because most of that memory is traumatic.
just the fall.
Killing my mother. I
Killing
wish
my mom
I
on the
knew.
bike.
I
I
wish it
love
was
how-
worth it and that we did win the race, but no, I just won by having my
Pick up
mom in
your
my
mom
life.
Yeah.
Over your shoulder when you're on the front of the bike this time. That would be a real
Somehow the
moment.
bike just explodes behind me, and I'm like carrying her
Yeah,
out
yeah,
in this cinematic.
Like you dive through the finish line.
I like how
Your
both
mom.
our first
My
memories were
mom's
like
teeth
so
just
sweet.
flying everywhere.
Oh, it's so
Confetti teeth.
freeing. It's
Yeah.
so lovely. And Tasha's like, yeah, I remember the first time.
I
I
remember,
remember
these
it like it was
days.
yesterday. I'll
You
never
didn't even
forget the
understand what
horror.
bicycle means.
Because you're talking about a tricycle technically. But
I still ride.
there are 3 wheels on
training
your
wheels.
thing, right?
Yes, even the bike buddy is a tricycle technically.
Mm.
Okay, back to your life though. Okay, so where do we go from Whiskey Creek?
Whiskey Creek back to Parksville,
Back to Parksville.
think
Boring.
Bellevue.
Makes-
No, actually, sorry,
Come on.
Arrington.
Just-
Those were all pretty close to one another, so we maintained a lot of the same community. And yeah, I kept playing sports all throughout that time. I was playing soccer at first, but I was never good. I
Really?
don't think I scored a single goal.
You look like someone that would be good at soccer.
My feet are not as. I don't have the foot-eye coordination like I have the hand-eye coordination.
Interesting.
Yeah, at soccer, I missed. We moved to Ottawa when I was in the 5th grade, so I spent that year not playing soccer,
Mhm.
and then I came back and tried out for the soccer team, and they relegated me with the other kids who didn't really play to over in that corner, and I was like, I guess soccer's not for me.
Yeah.
And actually, that's the time I picked up baseball.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, my hands are better than my feet,
Nice.
so I might as well use them.
Did you get really into it?
I got pretty into it. I played for 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be pretty
I
into
played
it.
third base.
Nice.
That's one of the best. That's
That
my favorite.
is.
Yeah, because you got to make that throw over the pitcher's mound
Yeah.
to first base.
Damn.
And that's hard.
Mm.
And did that
Yeah.
make you fall in love with team sports or hate team sports?
Oh, I love team sports all the
love
way
team
through.
sports.
Yeah, we would play ball hockey in the driveway.
Yeah.
Car or on the road, and then we car. Net.
net.
Yeah, pick up the
Run
I
net.
with
remember
net.
that.
Yeah,
Run back with net.
the ball goes under the car.
Nice.
You gotta get it with the stick. The parked one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was there.
You were there too.
Yeah.
Sweet.
No, I was raised on a country road
Mhm.
and it was a highway, so if
Oh,
you
yeah.
see car, it's probably hitting you
It's too
or
late.
your family dog, which only happened
Oh.
once.
Oof.
I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Just shitting on the mood. Did you play music a lot in your childhood?
Yeah, really sad music.
Oh, nice.
I love it.
Yeah. Elliott Smith as a kid.
Elliott
Oh,
Smith.
yeah. Big icon.
Just kidding.
That's
no.
a good.
Lifestyle guru.
No, I
Elliott
started-
That's some good
Smith.
albums.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, music
I
was
do
in me
love
from the
Elliott
very
Smith.
beginning. I wrote music before I went to first grade. Like I was like writing songs in daycare
That's amazing.
before preschool or like
Well.
after preschool. I would get home from preschool.
And like your
Right.
parents just encouraged all of it, or they were doing it with
So my parents are very open, so anything that I would try, they would encourage me to do as well as I can, but they were also very open in the sense as well that they would just let me do it.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of independence in that way.
Cool.
Sometimes I wish there had been more like incentive or more specialization training because I really like music.
Like
well,
technique.
Yeah, technique.
Mhm.
If I had done some music theory, that would have
Mhm.
been valuable. I eventually did get into that kind of area. And I also played flute in the middle school band.
And you still do. You still whip out
Occasionally.
that flute
I
occasionally.
whip out that flute occasionally,
Yeah. That's how I met you.
just in case.
I was like, we would go to jams and you just
Yeah.
kind of find your like fun little moment.
Just carry
to,
it
like,
around
pull
with
out
you
the
just in
flute
case.
Yeah.
or like spit bars.
Right. I think the first
one or the
time that I
other.
remember meeting you was at, I think, like a tropical party. It wasn't the Doghouse. It was like the Groove Nest.
That was my old house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A few years ago, we were there, and there was a
Jungle
big
party.
Yeah, jungle party. There was a
Mhm.
big jam, and you were leading the band, and then there was like a down moment in the music, and the whole time I got there, I was like, oh, am I gonna get to sing? And so I was in the crowd. Do you remember this?
This is how I want people to show up to all my parties. Is this my
Is this
is
my
this
moment?
my moment? I want that.
Are we gonna
at
get
every
this
party.
spotlight real quick?
Yeah.
And so
I
I
do
see
remember
you.
this.
You were like killing it. It was so easy for you. I could tell
Aw.
that you were the leader
Mm.
of the music at that time. Well, you were living there, so
It was
makes
my
sense.
birthday.
It was your birthday party. Yeah, there you go. And so I waddled up to you and I was like, "It is my dream to sing." I was all sheepish because I was like new in town at that point.
Really?
Yeah, I was
Cool.
like really hoping to get into the music and arts scene at that point,
Yeah.
and I was like, "It's my dream to sing," and you said, "Oh, and you handed me the mic. Oh, excuse me. You handed me the mic, and it was like, it felt like a challenge,
Oh no.
and I loved that.
Okay, cool.
Because I love the competition that goes into like sports, obviously,
This is interesting.
and then also in the art scene, like a healthy
Healthy
competition.
competition.
Jinx will like, you don't get to speak until I say your
I
name.
win.
You win
I get to give you something.
Diet
I owe you
Coke
Diet Coke.
with
yeah.
lime.
Interesting.
So
And
then I
you took it.
sang.
You took it.
I sang, and I think I did a good job. My friend Hannah was there too, and she said that I did a pretty good job.
Aw.
Like, people didn't stop dancing, so that's always a good sign.
Yeah, that's
Totally.
Yeah,
usually,
yeah.
usually a good metric.
Yeah,
No one
but we
fizzled.
hadn't met yet.
Mm.
I just wandered to you,
Cool.
and I could tell that you were the matriarch, if you will.
Coyote Mama is what I'm going
The
with.
Coyote
matriarch of the
Mama,
jam.
sure. Yeah, right on. Yeah.
That's so awesome. Katie and I talk a lot about the competition in the music
Mm.
scene, especially as vocalists, and we're like
Mm.
not about it in many ways because
Mm.
it can get toxic.
It sure can.
And we're all about like abundance.
Yeah.
But that's interesting hearing because that was early on. That was one of my
Right.
first like hosting times in
Yeah.
Victoria, and I'm glad that like I did share it because I think my ego's developed a lot since even then.
Mm.
I'm really glad that you like walked right up to the matriarch of the party. And you're
Right.
like, give me your microphone. I'm like, that takes balls.
Had to do it.
Good for you.
Had to do it.
Yeah.
Those kinds of situations, I'm like, if I feel a sense of a courage that
Yeah.
I need to access,
you have to.
then I have to pass that threshold. Otherwise,
Mm.
I normally do. So I don't normally feel that regret. But I can sense that if I don't do it, there will be a regret later on.
Totally. That's entirely
Pre-regret.
how I feel. There's no worse feeling than
Mm.
leaving an event that you're like, oh, I really could have.
I could have done.
And the further away from
something.
the event you get, the smaller at
Mhm.
first. Then you're
Mhm.
like, it really wouldn't have been that much of a deal to just
Right.
do the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been
Yeah.
that big deal at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even at Beacon Hill one time, you were freestyle and you were jamming with your band, and we were all dancing in front. Like I was there with Charlene and them.
Yeah.
And I
that was a completely improvised show.
I was like, should I like go and say it's my dream to sing? It didn't really emerge that way. Like nobody else was going on to the stage, so it didn't really make sense to do it in that time.
it would have been perfect. The whole show
maybe,
was just
yeah.
like feeding off of whatever
Yeah,
the fuck came
yeah.
into our brains.
And I
so.
had some.
You were also really nervous before that show. That's
Oh,
why
yeah.
I didn't try to jump up with you either that
Right,
day.
yeah,
I was
you were
like,
there
I
too.
just like I knew how your head was going into it. So
Mm.
I was there to support
It was,
and cheer on the improvisation.
Mm.
it was the choice.
It was really cool.
There's like a balance of improvising
Mhm.
within structure so
Yeah.
that you don't get too scared and forget
Yeah.
how to
Right.
operate. You have to
Definitely.
feel safe in order to
Mm.
really let the flow happen.
Mhm.
But I feel like I really enjoyed like experiencing your freestyles and your flow and your writing, and we've been chatting a little bit and sharing some of your writing leading up to this chat, and I would love if you wouldn't mind if I could share one of the poems that you shared
Yeah.
so we can get a little taste of the Jacob greatness. And it might get a little deep on us, but I'm here for that. Okay, this is called Metal Bones by Jacob LaRocque-Wall.
LaRocque-Wall.
The world is capable of greatly unfortunate circumstance.
Oh, that's not the first verse.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were gonna read the top bit.
Metal Bones by Jacob LaRocque-Wall. My body is made of bones, blood, skin, air, water, metal. These substances act in a grand system of processes,
Yeah.
which are designed to keep my body in motion. That is to say, breathing, heart beating, eating, wanting, striving. My atoms, are they aware? I'm certain at least that I am aware of them. My body, is he aware of the stars? Of society, of policy, of legacy? The world is capable of greatly unfortunate circumstance. The body decays, societies collapse. What we wanted often goes forgotten, not achieved. We become dismayed. The anti-fragile among us goes on to use failure to harness more wanting, and the successful will not be satisfied. Wanting, imagining a world which is not cruel, pondering methods to bring art to the people, questioning. There must be something to be done. Do we all not deserve to eat? Do we not all deserve to sleep under a sturdy roof? What say you, O billionaire? What say you, O degenerate? O paycheck, O ink on paper, O content, O capital, O border? What say you, O politician, O poet, O preacher, O king? What say you? And you, O reader, what are you to do? And me? What say you, O me? While the truth is unapparent, it is obvious. While we do often disagree, there is unequivocally truth. Somewhere there is. Here there is. Now there is. Where we kill ourselves. Where we lie, we hide the truth. And it is great sin to do this. Where we cry into the soil, seeds of change will germinate, and bright smiles will adorn our children. Bright smiles will adorn our leaders to greet one another, hands shaking, weapons aside. Where we sell the truth to one another, where we tell the truth to one another, we will
Works
see.
both ways.
The truth will be apparent. Light gently glides, sings songs to my retinas. Waves crash against me in symphony. I think, I believe, I feel. I experience much that is awful, much that is awesome, some which is loving, and some hateful. Finn. I loved that. I think it's just a really beautiful picture of, I mean, you can tell us what it's about, but it seems like a nice little glimpse into your eye of taking a step back. I feel like I get this way at this age too. I don't know, how old are you?
I'm 27.
Oh yeah, we get into our like late 20s, like we get closer to 30, like our brains are fully developed.
Sorry.
And
Can't help it.
what?
Because you're like,
Katie's over there.
we get into our late 20s. I'm like
Yeah.
me, decade older than
Right.
Jacob in the corner over here.
Yeah.
You can testify that
I can testify this is
correct.
accurate, and I can testify that when I was 27 was when I was doing the most introspective, pick apart
Yeah.
my brain shit.
Right.
Like it was when I was like, okay, it's time to fix a lot of this mess. Like
Yeah.
a lot of it leading up to, but sometimes you don't get enough time to slow down with yourself
Yeah.
until you're later in your 20s because
Right.
you're still chasing all sorts of things in your early 20s.
Facts.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious how that has landed for you. And yeah, I was just really grateful that you shared that because it's really cool to step into someone's brain, step into someone's process and resonate with it. And like resonate, like something that I really resonate with in my art is contrast and like duality, like all the light and the
Mhm.
dark right back to back against each other is like the only way that my brain helps me regulate
Right.
and make sense of it all. And
Mhm.
in that, I actually find lots of creative juice
Mhm.
too.
For sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. That reminds me of dialectics. Know that
Mm.
one? Dialectics?
Mm.
I learned about it first I either learned about it first from communism or therapy.
Oh, like DBT,
Yeah,
dialectical
I think
behavioral
dialectic-
therapy.
I think they coincided pretty closely.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
my
I've heard
life.
about that
I was
before,
like
for sure.
doing dialectic behavioral therapy in a class, and then, or not a class, but a group setting therapy. And then I picked up a booklet from the communists outside the legislature that was Marxist. It was like dialectical materialism.
Mm,
And then so the
interesting.
ideas were going back and forth
Yeah,
as
yeah.
dialectics tend to.
Mhm.
Di means two, and what's electic? I'm not really sure. But anyway, it's two opposing ideas that kind of reconstruct each other as they bounce. And it's
Cool.
a popular idea in actually Taoism. They
Hmm.
wouldn't use the same word,
No,
but yin and yang
totally.
type of deal.
Totally.
Like good
Light
within the
and
evil
dark.
and the opposite.
Fast and slow.
Yeah.
Literally two
Mm.
atoms circling
Yeah.
each other to
Yeah.
create a force of energy.
Right.
Like it goes down to that
Good
level
call.
and then all the way back up again.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's really
Like
helpful.
fractals.
Duality in general just
Mm.
helps like us. Once I understood duality, I think I just started thinking about it in a really tricky time in my life. I like really helped me just be like, okay, I cannot decide. I see the value in both things, or like one cannot exist without the other. It just really helps to be like, why not both?
Right. Porque no los dos.
Why not both? Why don't
Thanks.
we just accept that both are
Yeah.
happening at the same
Yeah.
time?
Both and neither.
Yeah.
That's the non-duality thing.
And
That's
it's
Mhm.
what Taoism says.
it frees you from choice in some
Mm.
ways, like from the autonomy, but it also
Mm.
allowed me in some
Mm.
of these circumstances to deal with both rather than just
Yeah.
picking one thing to handle.
And keeping with the Taoism, they also are so good in the art of maintaining flow.
Yeah.
Like just
Mhm.
going with the one that I read, the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu, was translated, and they call the Tao the great integrity.
Mm.
So just maintaining a total respect for one's own soul and mission and integrity.
Totally.
And that's just how,
Mm.
that's just a great way to,
Sounds like harmony too.
Yeah,
like
harmony.
Nature's
Yeah.
like harmony.
Yeah,
of
exactly.
Like what we get
melody,
to be.
harmony, and then there's a third one actually with that, which is rhythm.
And how
Mhm.
do these things affect the way that you live your day to day right now?
Right now I'm in a really good flow.
Yeah.
Like before I got here, I told you, or as I got here, I told you that today is a 10 out of 10 so far.
Whoa.
Which is really just such a great contrast of last month, because March, February, January, December were so hard. Like just challenges every day, and I'm so stoked and grateful to be able to be back in BC where it's warm.
BC's grateful to have
Swam
you
in the
back.
ocean today.
Yeah, and it's been warm enough to jump in, which has been great.
Yeah.
Like I jump in anyway, but it's nice to actually stay in a little longer and
right.
enjoy it. Soak in some sun rays, accidentally get a little red. Oh, it's warm enough that I'm accidentally getting red. That's great. Happy about it.
Set up the base for later.
Take it. I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah. I was in Montreal for the winter, and it was one of the
harshest. I wouldn't want to be there in the winter. That's
it was
for
one
sure.
of the harshest winters.
I know. My friend was there
years.
too, and she was sending me videos of the snowfall outside her place and the tunnel that was dug just to get to the sidewalk.
Yeah.
I was like, I haven't seen that much snow since I was a kid.
Yeah. 74 centimeters in a weekend.
Yeah.
And that was the weekend that I was flying back.
That's some of the craziest snowfall they've had in a
Day.
long time too, I think.
Yeah. And my flight from Toronto got canceled. I was like in Toronto. Cat.
I know, she wants to be part of the podcast.
She always does. She comes to join us all the time.
So I was in Toronto. I was on the plane about to go to Montreal, and they're like, sorry, we don't have enough staff in Montreal. We can't go.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wild. So I had to stay at the airport until morning and then go to an Airbnb. But 30 days later, they sent me $750. So I was like, all right.
Good.
Yeah, like at least you do something about
all
it. That's
good.
great.
I paid a little bit for the Airbnb, and I did a little bit of shopping.
I've heard a
that's always
lot
good.
of people had a really hard winter, actually.
Yeah,
Oh,
winter
yeah.
was tough this year.
Yeah,
A time for a
for
lot of people.
sure.
I feel like a
For
lot of people
sure.
went through
It's
it
been
tough.
I think
Yeah.
it's just like a dark political time.
Yeah.
On top of the dark season.
And there was a lot of loss too. Like I don't
Yeah.
I personally, there was like burials and funerals and that kind of stuff, hospices, and from September right through to January. It was like crazy.
Man.
So it's one of those things. But it definitely, it made me think of something I read because you sent us a bunch of things to read, which was dope. I expected some of the like writing and some of the like personal history and stuff, but I didn't expect you to just open your brain up and be like, here's 16 pages of my personal inner monologue. I'm like, I like this. This is good. Getting to know ya.
Yeah.
But you said a few things in there that I put little notes around in case I wanted to reference any of them. But one thing that I thought of because of this conversation about hard winters and stuff is you wrote somewhere in there that I wish I had known that I was going through struggles in order to learn lessons. And it's like one of those things where I find that in our society too, we often feel like going through a thing is just like a thing happening to us, and we forget in the moment because we're so consumed by what is happening to us and how we're feeling about it and how we're experiencing it in our physical bodies that we forget to check in and see, oh, what's the lesson it's trying to teach me. It's hard to see that until after. A lot of the time it's a hindsight thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But like I wanted to just like touch on like that and what your lessons that you feel like
Right.
have
So
come
it's
from
helpful
this.
in those cases to have a mission. So going through those intensely, I've been using the phrase traumatic loneliness. Intensely just laying on the floor and trying to get a little laughter from a Theo Vaughn podcast. And I would laugh, and then I'd be like, oh my God, I could have friends right now. I could be talking to people and laughing, but I can't find any. So just crying and crying. Every day I was crying.
Oh my gosh.
But while I'm like in those situations, I'm like, oh, someday I'm going to have friends again for sure.
Because like part of you knows that it's not permanent, especially when you're used to a cycle of it. And as far as people who deal with mental health and whatever, like if you're used to a cycle, you're used to a pattern a lot of the time of like my ups and my downs or whatever, right? So you know that some part of you knows that eventually you will come out of it. But the louder part of you is, this will be like this forever.
Yeah.
And that's the hard thing. And so I feel like it's one of those things that the more we get the chance to sit with thinking about what those lessons are and stuff, because it's like those people are always there, those friends are there, like it's just about reaching for them. And a lot of the time in those moments we're in a state where it's not about whether or not we have friends to be around, it's that we don't feel like we can be around them in the state we're in.
Indeed. I think both of those things can be true.
Yeah.
And in that situation for me, it was compounded by like a lot of the dramas that I was facing in Victoria and feeling like all these rejections happening at the same time. And I had a couple different breakups like around Christmas. Like on Christmas, I had a phone call with a sort of partner, and like she broke up with me.
Aww.
And so I was feeling like really incapable of having relationships with like my old friends, making new friends. My family was so far away. It was exile. I was using the phrase exile. I was like suffering intensely this exile, and it was also wrapped up in my religious studies, because I was like getting really into Genesis, and then right after is Exodus, right? And
I'll take your word for it.
I'm a religious trauma kid, so I have all the Bible knowledge.
Right.
All the Bible knowledge, none of the interest, but I'm always happy to hear other people's stories.
Right.
I'm still open to hearing everyone.
Or Torah for me is super, it's magical for me. I'm reading it and I associate myself with a lot of the different characters and learning lessons from the stories, plus doing mysticism and some magic, like tarot and numbers and shit.
Totally.
Yeah. In Judaica, it would be called gematria. That's the numerology of Judaism.
Yeah, I've heard of gematria before.
Yeah.
That does sound really cool.
I've gone down a lot of rabbit holes
Sick.
in my.
Did you do any Kabbalah?
religious trauma. I've read stuff about it, but I did basically. My family was very like, you have to go to church, you have to do this, you have to do that, until a certain age, and I felt this. I don't know if there's part of the ADHD urge to like be stubborn in some ways, but I felt like I knew so deeply in myself that it wasn't for me, that I wanted to learn as much as possible about as many different things to be sure in that.
Right.
And the more I learned, the more I was sure in that, because a lot of the things, even though the core values are the same, it's pitted against each other and fought over in a way that is very silly. Like the books of Genesis and Exodus are pretty similar regardless of which version you're reading. Some of them may be slightly different, but like those books the stories, a lot of them are pretty similar. And a lot of the like golden rule type things across a lot of belief systems are very, like the core beliefs are very similar. Right. And then it's all people in our urges and our need to use something as a tool to gain advantage over someone else that takes it and twists it. And
Let's bastardize it.
Yeah, a lot of the time for sure.
Right.
But I do find the things like that. I find it really interesting to go down rabbit holes of where religion and magic intersect, because there's every single one of them has it, and yet somewhere along the way they tell their people not to do it. Yeah, it's like interesting that it's like you seem to know exactly how real it is, and yet you don't want people to do it.
Well, I'd say because it can be really powerful and it can be used super negatively, and often it is used by the people who know it best.
Well, it's used by the people who tell you not to use it, because it benefits them if you are disconnected from your own power.
And any good teacher should be teaching things with caution.
Yes, teaching with caution for sure. But I think also there's an element of, for years, like a systematic mission, no matter what the belief was, to separate the individual person from their connection to the power, whatever that is, whatever you want to call it, whoever you want to call it. That like connection we have to energy and to molding it and shaping it and whatever you believe, like individuals have been separated from their own connection to that and told they need to rely on the group, they need to rely on the religion, the politician, whatever, they need to rely on this, and then you can hide that behind a paywall, and then you can get money because you need access to me to access the magic. Really, we're all connected to it.
Right. Yeah, that's the difference that I see between religion and cult. Actually, is that religion is one's relationship, that's what the word comes from, a binding, one's relationship with the source of creation, and a cult follows a person.
And I think a lot of religions have been turned into more of a cult than a religion. That's the thing.
Totally.
Yeah, it's really sad, and I hear the story constantly where somebody is born into a religious family, and forced to go to this church and wear this outfit and wake up early in the morning and do all this crap that doesn't actually affect the community in a positive light.
Yeah, it doesn't really connect you to that source
and
either.
It severs
it's all about
people.
the format, not the relation.
Yeah, because the dogma isn't what keeps people close to, I'm going to use the word God throughout, and Hashem and stuff. But the dogma, the rules aren't the things. Maybe I would go back on that, because the mitzvot, the commandments that a Jewish person has, is 613-fold. So those commandments are such that if you follow them, you are close to God. But they're bastardized in such a way to reduce them to 10 commandments, and then further reduced to the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah, or misinterpreted even.
And misinterpreted and misused. And then the priests are also sinning. Like,
everybody's sinning, that's the thing. It's crazy.
Yeah. But we have to find a better way to... And not indoctrinate people, right? Because these children are being indoctrinated constantly.
Yeah, not indoctrinating and not pushing it on folks
Yeah.
either. Just
Inspiring.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. When you look at the
Yeah.
genuine stories, like the
Uh-huh.
things that did resonate with me, that I was like, that were in fact a lot of the points people use to argue against what people have twisted in the Bible is, and in other books, is like those core beliefs of love and compassion and like caring and curiosity and like
Treating
teaching
your
and
neighbor.
community and connecting and
Yeah.
and you know that if you follow that story of Jesus throughout the Bible and
Mhm.
stuff like that, those were those
Yeah.
core values. It wasn't necessarily
Put on a necklace. And
exactly, and it's not it's not said, oh, you have to do it this way, or there's no other, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
I just feel like every single human being is so unique. So no all following system ever works. Like you really can't apply like one giant set of anything for every human being.
Right.
And there's always going to be cracks in the system, but I understand why we try, and it's because if you tried to cater something to everyone's individual needs and individual like path to those needs and behaviors and like all of those things, like it would, you can't really connect people that way.
but if you can get a large enough group to follow you and in one's thing, then you have power in that way, and it's one of those things. Because that's the thing is like if you take the story as fact or as what it was, like for argument's sake, because I don't personally believe that it is, but for argument's sake, Jesus is walking around and he's never asking people to specifically follow him. He's just existing out there being a happy bro. He's just, I'm just here. I'm here to give you some
The OG
fish.
happy bro.
I'm
OG
here.
happy
Oh, there's
bro.
a thing happening. I have ability to fix it. Let me go fix it.
Right.
Like he's not doing it to gain the followers in that moment. And people are just gravitating towards him because he is who he is.
Yeah.
And then it's everyone else around him that is, here's
And
why
later.
you should follow, here's why you should do this, and here's
They build
all
the
these books and here,
story.
Yeah.
so it's
They
just like
separated the story from the
Yeah.
actual.
Yeah, and doing mythology.
and I think everyone,
It's a powerful tool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Story is the
Well,
best tool.
and I think
and-
that when you look at it too, even though religion tries so hard to separate you from that, they also say things like I can do anything, all things through God who strengthens me.
Right.
And that if you believe you have the power to move a mountain, to do whatever, because you are connected and you can then summon that as needed. So it's like you've admitted that this exists and that this ability exists in every human to do this. And I think that whether or not you say it's through God or Jesus or this religion or that religion or this path or that path, we all still have that ability to do that.
And come from the same source.
And come from that same similar thing,
Right.
whether you believe, and even if you're someone who just believes it was the Big Bang and every bit of things evolved into other things and whatever,
Right.
it's still the same source of a beginning.
Yeah.
So it's all still connected.
And this is what I was going to say when Tasha was talking about how every individual person has their own path to reach that kind of enlightenment, if you will. And it's hard to prescribe things for individual people. It gets really complex.
Yeah.
The rule systems become really complex. But if we all spoke the same language, then it would be a lot easier to... you wouldn't even have to translate, really, because that's where a lot of the inaccuracies come from, is the translation process.
Do you know that? Is that Bible story the same in the Torah as the Bible? The Tower of Babel?
Yeah, Babel.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy?
Right.
That's the theory of why we don't speak the same language.
Nimrod.
I want to hear it.
Okay, so there's this story. The funny thing about this story for me is I literally got a phone call once from my bandmate being like, "We need you to settle a Bible argument we're having." And I was like, "Why are you having a Bible argument on a Friday night?" And I think this is hilarious, but I'm like, "Yeah, cool. I can use this knowledge that lives in my head rent free for no reason. Sure, what's up?" And they're like, "What's the story of Babel, the Tower of Babel?" So I was like, "Okay." And it was like this. The story was, people were so enamored with the idea of getting closer to God, reaching God somehow physically, not missing the whole point that the connection to God was internal, was just there he is,
It was
whatever.
probably all the autists.
And then
though,
they
taking
wanted to-
everything super literal.
It's like old school autism. We got to get to God, so let's build a
They
tower.
told me to go up
So
there.
they
Said
started
go climb the
building.
ladder.
They
built a
started building
long
this
ladder.
tower, and it was like the whole thing was that like the hubris of man to think that they could reach God by their own hand building this tower, missing his whole message that they're always reaching him in any way. It incurred his wrath to the point where he struck everyone confused, and that confusion was the creation of multiple languages. So all of a sudden, all these people couldn't understand each other, and they were all stuck speaking different languages that no one understood.
Pass me the hammer.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's the theory,
Yeah.
the biblical theory as
They
to why.
also made a bunch of mistakes during the building process.
Yeah.
It goes a lot deeper than that too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, that's the Cliff
the
Notes.
crux of it. But then they were also like having horrible building practices. There was no union at all.
No way, they would probably using slave labor.
Seriously, slaves.
Too.
And then also they valued the bricks more than the people.
Yeah, that was
And
a
the
common thing back
People
then.
would fall off all the time. And
Yeah.
they'd be like, "Oh, the bricks."
Yeah,
Like,
that
about
was
the
a common
bricks.
thing in the building of the pyramids and stuff too. They
True.
treated the
Yeah.
bricks more valuable than the
Yeah.
people who care.
My version of the history that I've been diving into recently is I'm reading *Sapiens*, and I'm learning all about like our like nomadic ancestors, and basically once they would get to a certain point of evolution and a certain group of humans, so it would be like up to 150. Once you would surpass that, you wouldn't be able to maintain individual relationships with all that many people, so they would start inventing fictional
Yeah, I've seen that
tales in
before.
which to link the groups
Mhm.
of individuals. Yeah, because once like you have a belief system or like a character or a
Story
god or a
connects
deity
us,
or
yeah.
something that's guiding you, you don't need to like necessarily know everyone individually, trust everyone individually.
Because you all trust that you're
because-
following the
and
same
that's
thing.
basically how
Right.
like story came in to
Uh-huh,
practice,
uh-huh.
and it was such a like good unifying tool of I know like I get this story, I understand like this way of existing even if I don't know every single one of you individually.
Mhm.
And I just thought that's such a cool thing that like fiction plays such a
Right.
and it's not really fiction because it's like it's an experience, but it's like telling that story
Mhm.
is such a like imperative part of our
Mhm.
like experience as a species
Right.
from like day like
For
probably 3 billion, but like
Yeah, like oral history and
Yeah.
urban legend
You
versus
know,
Billion
fiction.
sounds about
exactly.
right because
Yeah.
the universe is 13.8 billion years old
thank
according
you
to
fact
the
checking
sciences.
me. Yes.
But that's years, right? And then the Earth is about 4 billion years old, I think, and human civilization emerged about 200,000 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
So 200,000 years times 365 days. Can we get a calculator? Anybody got a calculator?
For what? Sorry, say that again.
200,000 times 365. Probably not billions, but
millions though.
millions, tens of millions.
No, it won't let me do the calculator at the same time.
2 times 10 to the 5.
Sorry, it's 200,000 times 365. Is that what
Yeah,
you said?
yeah. Days to years. 73 million.
This is just shy of 3 billion.
Just a little bit.
But
Just a
Pretty
hair
good, though.
shy. Hello, squishers, and welcome back to another segment of Have You Heard? The part of the show where we show you what we're listening to and what's going on in our community because we love to shout out our homies. On this episode, we will be showing you a little snippet of the song Birds Hurting Birds Who Hurt Birds by Opal Dar.
I thought I saw birds hurting birds who hurt birds who hurt birds. I need us to stop talking like strangers in a fight, like we didn't sleep, curled up like lovers under the moon. Now how quick can you go? I feel fear. Take the long way home, but you can't stay here. With a bottle of tears and a tongue that shoots a cannon from an ally. Birds hurting birds who hurt birds. A cannon from an ally. Birds hurting birds who hurt. Cannon from an ally. Birds hurting birds who hurt. Cannon from an ally. Birds hurting birds who hurt birds.
tidbit of Birds Hurting Birds Who Hurt Birds by Opal Dar. This project was a labor of love. I got to witness the all of the passion that went into the application process for the grant that helped fund creating this work, and seeing all of the effort that Opal has put in, and all of the passion and time and energy. And being an artist in this world is a tough thing, but being an artist with a disability and trying to power through and do these things is a whole other level. So please go check out and support Opal Dar on YouTube and the other Spotify, all the other things. And there is more music being released in just a few days. So I hope you enjoyed that little bit of Birds Hurting Birds Who Hurt Birds. That one is already out there on YouTube. You can go check it out for yourself and see the rest of the song. And now back to our scheduled pod rambles. We love you. Send us your tunes.
So I was raised atheist, and I was not raised with any of the lore, and
I love that.
only really had a deep dive into religion with my ex-partner, who is Palestinian, and I moved in with them when I moved in with my best friend at the same time, who was raised Catholic. So they would share their stories from both of their religions, and they would find the overlap.
And the Palestinian person
Was Arab,
Muslim.
Muslim, yeah, raised Muslim,
Right.
and has a very unique queer experience while
Great.
being pretty religious. And it's just such a fascinating story. And I just sat there and absorbed all of it. I was like, what? I was like, this is such like a different part of the human experience that I never had. And I see the beauty in it. I see the beauty in all of it. And I love that the stories overlap. I think that's just so beautiful. And every single religion, the fact that there is overlap, because we're the same species.
Seriously, the same race.
We all want the same things at the end of the day. But I love that we each have our own flavor of the magic, the spice, like the approach, and the diversity is gorgeous in itself, but unfortunately does create the tension as well.
Yeah, like we were talking about before, that competition and like the dialectic stuff, like I remember.
Oh yeah, that means to converse. By the way, I googled it because I was like, it was gonna bug my brain until I remembered what it was.
In DBT, the classic examples are like radical acceptance. I think.
Yeah.
And then there are
Love
two more.
DBT.
That's okay.
We love our therapy.
Therapy.
I can ask you other questions that I have based on your writing.
Okay, cool.
You were talking about your stage production and just the burnout that you felt after.
Right, synesthesia
and
part
just
2,
that
descent into action.
Yeah, and that fully, which is apparently
no
on
part
YouTube
1.
if you want to see it.
No,
That's
one's
funny.
not on YouTube.
Oh, that one's not on YouTube.
Nope.
That's a different one. Okay, so this I found interesting because you had stated that you
We are talking about how to be alone, my bad.
had been spent of energy, and that you were even feeling ill the next day, like the burnout hit you that hard.
That was wild.
And I was just curious, like how you dealt with that. And also there was a line that you said later on that tied back into it, which is that if I'm efficient in keeping my energy levels in the positive, I can make great art. And I was like,
bonus.
I fully get that. I get that a lot, because when it takes so much of your energy to just be present and be functional in a room of other humans, like that's a whole other energy expel in itself, right? So then it's like this next level of energy, it's all about balancing it all. And sometimes it's like, sometimes even those isolation moments are necessary, because you're like, if I over socialize, the battery depletes, and then I don't have battery for art.
If I speak too much, I won't be able to write enough.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So my question based on that stuff was like, what was that lesson in that for you?
Right.
Like, how did you learn to manage your burnout, and how do you manage your energy like levels? What are your things that you've learned through your process?
Oh, for sure. And this is something that I think about while I'm at parties most of the time.
Yeah, parties.
I will
place
just
for
jet.
sure.
I have.
Yeah, I read that in your thing.
Yeah. I just don't say goodbye most of the time.
Disappear.
I'm gone. I get the feeling like I don't think I can, and then I'm gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in that case, like I had to be there.
Yeah.
Because it was only me on stage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I could have sent them a recording, but I don't think it would have done
Could you imagine? You're just like the middle of the stage, like the show must go on. Not this time though. I'm out. Peace. Like, honestly, that would have been art in itself. You know.
So that one was really interesting. That's How to Be Alone.
Yeah.
Not Synesthesia Part 2, Descent into Action. So How to Be Alone is on YouTube if you want to check it out. Maybe we'll link in the description down below. But it was like so much work. I was going to do Synesthesia Part 3. Or no, I was going to do Synesthesia Part 4 Inspirare. But I was going to I was thinking about working with a group again, and then I remembered the year before was so hard to get people together because I had 4 people work on synesthesia with me, and I think we had 1 rehearsal all together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Creative project
So how-
management is the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So for How to Be Alone, the title came from this decision, which is just respectfully, you are all fired. And so I just did this is How to Be Alone. So I just did a one-man show. I wrote a bunch of poetry, music. I did a lot of instrumentation. I had to make sure that my gear was from place to place, and I had a Korg Triton, which is huge. And I had to do choreography. It was a big endeavor. I started in January and it put on in June.
That's a long
Wow.
time.
So June 6th.
No wonder you hit a wall afterwards.
Yeah, June 6th I performed it. And ramping up, or leading up to the performance, I could tell something's going to happen here. And
You could feel the battery getting low.
I could feel it
Yeah.
occurring. And then after I got off stage, I with all the adrenaline,
Yeah.
I was the first performer of the whole festival.
Yeah.
At the One Act
Wow.
Play Festival at the Belfry.
Oh.
And I don't know, 5 minutes before I was going to go on, I was repeating all the lines as fast as I could just to make sure that they're all down. And then I did the 16-minute performance, and then I had to watch the next performance,
Wow.
which was actually really cool. I liked
Yeah.
that one too. That was
But sometimes
that
once
was
you
the
hit
one
that
about
wall,
Fairy
you're
Creek.
like, I
Yeah.
need to go be in bed
I need
right
to
now.
sit down. I was I don't know if I can stand for the standing
Mhm.
ovation that they're giving these people,
Wow.
but I did.
Of course.
They were all my friends. They invited me to party with them after,
Yeah.
and I was already in bed.
Oh,
It was
that's funny.
It was 7 p.m. I was I'm done.
I've definitely been that person
Bye.
after show. The after
Yeah.
party sounds great, but so
Yeah.
does bed.
Yeah.
Aside from being in bed and just powering through it, how did you deal with coming out of that burnout, and what helped you? What do you do to keep your battery charged?
Yeah, honestly, it was the organization that I did before. I think that was really helpful because my room was tidy. My art was all away.
That does help.
I did have to stay in my room for a whole day with the
Mhm.
lights off and the blinds drawn. But it was okay. It was fine. Yeah, I was just drinking water.
Feels like
and
a reward sometimes.
it was a reward
Yeah.
for sure. I had to throw up a bunch of times, which
Mhm.
sucked. But it was fine. I was fine with it because I knew,
A satisfied
it was
rest.
still satisfying because I didn't
Yeah.
forget a single line.
It's funny that a satisfying rest comes at hitting a burnout wall where you
Right.
literally can't physically do anything else.
Right.
Therefore,
The only
you
time I
can't
can
guilt
do it.
yourself for resting.
Yeah,
It's
for
so wild to me.
sure. Yeah.
That's
Sometimes the show goes poorly. You still
Oh,
burn
yeah.
out, but the
You
show
still
is
burn out, but
bored,
yeah,
so
when it goes well, it's a bit more worth it.
Right,
It's
yeah.
where burnout feels a little
Yeah,
more worth it when
yeah,
everything goes
yeah.
well.
Because there's
When
that
it doesn't go well,
phrase.
you're like, damn it, I drained my ass for
Right.
nothing.
and then
Right.
you have to hide instead of just
Yeah.
rest.
Right.
I feel that's
Yeah.
a lot of dedication. I can't imagine. I only get my drive for projects because I'm with other people. The amount of dedication, I definitely have experiences of making art on my own for myself, but I don't know if I could ever put that much work into something just me on my own.
Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
such an
That's a
intense-
crazy endeavor to get into by yourself for sure.
Yeah.
And it's a lot to
All
do.
the communication with the festival runners. And
Yeah, it's
I got a director for a
so
little
many-
while, or
so
like
many
a
things.
pseudo director, because she just gave me some pointers about how to be physical on the stage.
nice.
Cool.
Yeah, that was a great experience overall, though.
Totally.
I
good.
remember that so fondly.
Masterclass.
That's good.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's like one of
Yeah.
those things where you throw yourself in the deep end, but you
Yeah.
definitely learn a lot of lessons in those
Oh,
situations
yeah.
for sure.
Oh my goodness, and that's my favorite tactic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You wrote something else too that I really liked. It resonated with. There's a few things where I was like, "Oh man, I've been inside your brain before." I feel like, but yeah, one of the things that jumped out to me was when you were, which I think a lot of people should do this practice of identifying your needs, like identifying what you need at any given moment, like in a party situation, when you're overwhelmed, when you're feeling emotional, whatever. What are your current needs? The same way that people do the HALT method, like identifying your needs at any given time. And when you said that the first item on the list was compassion, and then there was this chunk that jumped out at me where you said, to be happy, I feel I need people to see me as a human being. In order to feel complete, though, I need to be seen for what I actually am. In this way, compassion is a form of perception, a laser beam of love, if you will, being observed as more than a skin bag which is piloted by a barely conscious homunculus.
Yeah, homunculus.
In my head, is my love language. That being
Can
seen
you
in
reiterate that?
yes,
last
that
sentence?
because I was like, it doesn't make when we
Right,
giggle,
right.
it throws it off. But
Yeah.
compassion in this way, compassion is a form of perception, a laser beam of love, if you will, being observed as more than a skin bag, which is piloted by a barely conscious homunculus in my head, is my love language. So like being seen as
Yeah.
more than just this
Right.
flailing around autopilot skid
Yeah,
bag.
true.
And that was, I just found that very interesting. I'm like, it's because a lot of people feel that way, where we're like, we want to be seen as we are, even when we're sometimes not even sure who that is and we're still figuring it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to feel like someone sees a fraction of that, or the people around you, your friends, your close people, because then it helps you to like cement in that. You're like, yes, okay, they see who I am, so I'm right, that is who I am. Like,
Right.
yeah, I can
Well, it's
ground
like
myself
it
back in that
connects you to
fact.
Purpose.
Yeah.
Too.
And the mission.
Yeah.
Mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my mission is to find peace. That's what I've been
Mm.
it's just a succinct find peace, and you
Yeah.
can, and you don't have to go very far,
No.
but just every day, okay, is there some peace over here? Yep, there is, but I just gotta get a different perspective on it to
Sit
see
in
it.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're like, it's funny because your points jumped around on your writing,
Mm.
tied back into each other in an interesting way a
Cool,
lot of the
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Because
Popcorn thinking.
that made me, yeah, for sure. That made me, because even thinking about the idea that the ability to be seen by someone else can help us reground ourselves in who we already know that we are, but we sometimes lose connection with that.
Mm.
It goes back to another thing that you said, that said the confusion of purpose is like part of the issue of humankind, and like that we get lost about where to put our energies. And so sometimes having someone like see, when you're in a sea of things where you're like, I'm lost in this moment because I'm putting my energy in a bunch of places. Here's where I feel like I'm supposed to put it. Here's where I feel like I need to put it. And here's where I truly feel drawn to put it. And when someone sees you
Right.
in this space of I'm truly drawn here, and they
Yeah.
recognize that, and they're like,
Yeah.
that is where you
Hell yeah.
should put it, it helps to
Feedback.
reground you in that, and helps
Yeah.
to clear that confusion. And you're like,
True.
oh, wait, I can go back to this because it's a reiteration of that path and that
Ah,
purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, good
They
point.
reinforce
Mhm.
the channel so
Right.
that your water can go.
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Yeah, like myelin sheathing,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
obviously.
To-
Doesn't need a good sheath.
We don't even need to
Totally.
describe what that is.
I feel like our sense of self and purpose is like such a constant fluid state.
Mm.
Like realistically, like we are never the same thing twice.
Mm.
We are always developing and
Mm.
changing just by like, experiencing the world, let alone participating in it. And it makes sense that we want to ground in each other, and we want to ground in like rules, and we want to
Right.
ground in a mission, and we want to
Right.
ground in purpose, because the idea of being disconnected and
Mm.
untethered and just fluid and like floating in the soup of life is
Mhm.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Against everything our
Seriously.
egos have tried to
Well,
form.
post-agricultural revolution for sure.
Yeah.
Men, and this is what I'm reading in Sapiens too.
Right.
Is we
Mhm.
fucked ourselves with
Yeah.
the whole agriculture. Isaac
Exactly.
will go on a fucking tangent.
Oh, yeah,
but
let's
I
get
love
into
getting
it.
him going down those
Where's
rabbit
he at?
holes.
He's at
It's
his second job.
fascinating.
He's-
He
I
is,
love
but
it.
it's actually like crazy how
Yeah.
individually skilled we used to be.
Mm.
When we
Mhm.
were hunter gatherers,
Generalists,
every
yeah.
individual knew every skill it
Right.
took to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
'cause you had
second
to.
we stopped being that self-sufficient, we
Mm.
started relying on each other
Capitalism.
in
Boom.
capitalism immediately, right? Because the second everyone individually has their one skill, you
Specialist.
specialize, and everyone is like codependent,
Right.
which can create a toxic system in
Mm.
itself.
Yeah.
Even though, yes, community is beautiful, they still had community
Right.
in their bands of up
Right.
to 150 individuals.
But
But that
community
was
was
travel,
there
but
to
they
do
had
other
that.
things. Like they were able to gather in community more because
Right.
you weren't consistently needing, like,
Mm.
You weren't
you
relying
weren't
Yeah, you didn't have
consistently
to
needing
work
to
5,
do.
6 days a week.
You needed to do what you needed to
No.
do, and then from that point
Yeah.
on, you're sitting around sharing stories
Right.
and doing whatever, helping
Bored
each
of
other
their work.
with
Right.
their
Just
kids or whatever.
satisfied rest, which
Yeah.
is why it feels so good to
Yeah.
like actually chill the fuck out
Right.
after
So
doing
true.
a hard day's work.
And another thing about the specialization and the workforce, the labor industry, like white collar, blue collar thing is, as you're developing the skill and you're getting really good, say in cobbling, like in making shoes,
Yep.
Hell yeah, brother.
you will pass that craft down to your children often, and the family business grows and shrinks as history goes on, and then your family is known for being shoe people.
And that's even how last names were given at
That's
first.
what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tanner,
Yeah.
the
The Smith.
pauper.
Smith.
I don't-
The
Yeah.
Smith,
Sure,
like
yeah,
blacksmith
yeah.
son,
Kings
son of the
develop,
Smith,
and
you know.
the bloodline of kings
Yeah.
fucks everybody throughout
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is why I like your mission of
Kings and
finding
religions.
peace,
Kings,
because
Right.
kings using religions for power.
No kings, no masters, unless they're really good. Unless they're like really.
unless they're a
Jacob's open to
babe.
cults if you're really
Not a
charismatic and
cult.
convincing. No,
I wouldn't do
know.
a cult because I wouldn't follow the. I would follow the person's teachings, but not.
No, I'm just
I
kidding.
wouldn't What is it?
I'm just kidding because you said a master if it's a good
Idolize?
one.
Idolize.
Yeah.
I wouldn't idolize a person ever.
No.
I think that's important.
Yeah. I was just gonna add, I like that your mission is to find peace,
Mhm.
and I think something that's brought me a lot of peace ties into this whole idea of abandoning the need to specialize in anything.
Right.
I'm a person that really likes to do things really well,
Yeah.
but I also don't like the idea of being stuck in one thing. So I like to pick a bunch
Mhm.
of things
Right.
and try and do them well.
Yeah.
Maybe not perfect, maybe not like amazing, but I'll do
Mhm.
them well enough to feel good about it, and then I'll move on to the next thing.
Mhm.
And that's actually brought me a huge sense of peace and
Mhm.
prioritizing like how I work rather than what I'm working on. So
Yeah.
like the lifestyle and my
Mhm.
approach,
The process.
the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause that is the life.
Right.
And
That
because
is
sometimes you
life.
can get just
Right.
as much done hacking off chunks of multiple things at once
Yeah.
rather than being like, I need to hyper focus on this one
Right.
thing until it's finished all the way.
For sure.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
a time and place for each.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
And like middle grounds.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes
Totally.
me, like,
That's
happy and, like-
that's such a fun part of living a life.
Yeah, exactly.
Like just developing, growing. It's always uncomfortable, but then you get to the satisfying rest, and that's a big part of the religious idea, is that you work this whole life in order to purify, in a sense, your soul. That's a big idea in Judaism, is called tshuva, and that's a healing process where you keep coming back. It's a reincarnation. It's called Gilgul. Like you will come back, like your soul, or a spark of your soul will be in another body, like back in time or in the future time or wherever.
Yeah.
Doesn't really make that much difference, but you do have to make sure during that lifetime that you get the things done that you didn't before.
Yeah, I've heard that theory before. It's
Yeah.
quite interesting.
It's really
And that
cool.
sometimes we're stuck in a certain kind of energy in
Right.
this life because of things we didn't finish last time.
Yeah,
And then
you can repeat
some
up to
people
1,000
believe
times.
Yeah, and some people believe that certain struggles in your life that feel like they keep repeating
Right,
are because they're trying to teach you a lesson you missed before.
right.
And you're like, I really got to get this lesson or I'm just going to keep going through this loop.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's, what's the lesson?
And as you're doing that insight,
Mhm.
trying to figure out what's the lesson here, you'll have epiphanies.
Yeah.
You'll get frisson. You know that one?
Mhm.
Where you get goosebumps all over your
Mhm.
body and you're like, whoa, this is like a moment.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I call them goose nipples.
sure.
Your neighbor's dog is fucking scrapping
Lola.
something.
I
Yeah.
think geese aren't mammals. But
You're trying to say they don't have nipples?
I don't think...
I have goose nipples. I don't know about goose themselves.
right.
I just think it's funny to think of a million little nipples all over me.
All over
Okay,
a
the
goose.
amount of
Nervous.
things
Right,
people
right.
have, the amount of do geese have questions people have Googled are hilarious.
Oh, do geese?
Do geese have talons, good
Right.
eyesight,
Yes.
penises, nests,
Yes.
claws, ears,
Yes.
teeth on their tongues?
Yes.
All of these
Teeth
have,
on their tongue.
all of these have been there. Some of them do.
I think they do, yeah.
Canada geese do.
I
That's why
agree.
that's why we call them cobra
They have
chickens.
teeth on their tongue.
Call them what?
Cobra chickens.
Cobra chickens.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
scary as hell. You never heard that?
No.
Yeah, I call them cobra chickens.
Where?
And it says no, birds do not have nipples. I was unsure, so I had to Google
Oh,
it.
man. Elephants do.
They
I
do?
love that.
They're
Yeah.
mammals.
Okay.
Mammal is a word that comes from mammary, which means
Titties.
That just gave me so many questions about how little elephant babies like feed
Trunk?
with the trunk in the front. Like it's is it in the way? Do they feed from the trunk, just like right
well,
to the
no,
nipple?
so the elephants
'Cause
have
I'm like,
two breasts, I believe, and they are on a similar place to human women, on their chest.
Yeah,
up here.
but the
Do they use their
baby,
trunk or
the
do they use
trunk
their mouth?
is does like the mouth is down here, the trunk is up here.
Yeah.
My brain
Suck
is
in
just
with
like,
the
how
trunk
do
and
you
then spit
how
into
do
the
you-
mouth kind of deal, or
That's
you
what
know
I
the mama.
mentioned.
That is
Mama
an
lie
interesting
down.
question.
They lie down.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna watch a YouTube video
Let's
on
check it
Animal
out.
Planet later.
Let's splice it onto the video.
Baby,
Oh, that's so
sucking
funny.
on
What a
titty
reference.
like I'm a
Discovery Channel.
mammal.
Discovery
Speaking of titties, I'm.
All right.
That is the best segue we've had on this.
I don't know. I forgot that I also copied this one little thing that I found funny that you. There's a couple things here that I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna
You're grounding us
read
so
all
much
your
right
stuff,
now.
but
Right.
So grateful for you, Katie.
but you had this one little blurb on dating, and just the way that you worded it just was like, it was very honest and like relatable, but also like funny, and I liked it. So I just wanted to reflect on that and see where this goes if I bring this up. But says, so you think about someone you're interested in. You're interested in them romantically. You send them a text and you await a response. Right now, there is this tension. You become anxious. You scroll online somewhere and put your thoughts behind a wall of light amusement. Your phone vibrates and you think it could be your crush. Actually, it's Skip the Dishes telling you about a deal for Popeye's chicken. How awful.
How awful.
And I was just like, that is so fucking real. The amount of times I've been like, I don't even fucking use DoorDash. Get out of here. But even if it's not like, just even if you're waiting for information from anyone on anything important, and it's like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then you're
Cobra chickens.
Uber. If you have a teenage
exactly.
daughter, you
oh
can,
my god.
I'm like,
yes.
what do you mean?
know you can control their Uber pool, whatever?
What the heck?
Oh god.
Hush.
But yeah, then you were talking about how that sort of like moment of like fixating can be torturous for some, and I've found that like interesting and just like relatable that you're saying something very honest and very vulnerable, but like also giving it a little comedy nod at the same time.
I think things are funny.
Things are funny.
To
Life
be
is
honest.
funny. The way humans behave is funny. The way we
Gotta
walk around
say.
masking to each other all the time and like
I read the
pretending
news
to
and
be
I'm like,
things we
"Giggling."
are. Like it's I mean, it's not all funny in that realm, but there are things where I'm like, I
Are
don't
you
know,
serious?
how are we
You
doing
just
these
leaked
things?
the medical, you just leaked war plans like on Signal.
Yeah, oh, that
again?
was funny for sure. You're
Dang,
like,
man, you should not be doing that
You
job
should
wrong.
win.
the
Until
worst
you
possible
delete
person
Signal.
to your group chat.
And it's I don't have
Again?
access to anything that confidential, but I'm always making sure I didn't send the
Yeah.
wrong thing to the wrong person,
send
you
a
know?
risk
Or
to
am
your
I
cousin.
accidentally butt dialing someone right
yeah,
now?
yeah,
Let me
yeah.
make sure. Or, did I send that nude to the wrong person?
Oh my god.
You're like these things. You're like, oh wait, is this accessible?
Yeah.
I can't imagine having
'Cause
that
he's
much
drunk.
control.
Are
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's like yeah.
Yeah.
We
Having
are
something that
Monkey,
you know
monkey.
confidential and just being like,
all
well,
Right. Yeah.
big scared monkeys, and the way that we like deal with our lives is we like think, and we think too much
Oh,
because we're
thinking. Give me a
always trying
break.
to be a step ahead of the predator that's out to
Right.
get us with their big physical
Yeah,
strength.
I
Yeah.
think there's like the form of thinking that is fueled by that anxiety. Like, used to be a protective thing for us,
Right.
but now we don't need it as much. So now it's just causing a
I
mess
always
sometimes.
forget that word.
And then the introspective thought that is self-reflection that is good and healthy. There's like the thinking that is introspection and sitting with yourself and learning these things and processing feelings and doing the body scans and self-check-ins and those things. Those forms of thinking that are good. And then there's this spiraling, anxious, like staring at my phone, yelling at Skip the Dishes because it's not what I wanted it to be, and thinking thinking about the end of something before we've even experienced it,
And then you're
missing the
living
moment
it.
we're in because you're
Which
worrying
you
about
will
the
literally
end.
experience physically. If you think too hard about something, you're putting your nervous system through
Yeah,
it.
you're literally putting
You're
your nervous system through it.
experiencing it.
Yeah.
There was a thing I saw about how they said that they did some kind of study, or they interviewed a bunch of people that had watched a lot of coverage of the Boston Marathon tragedy, and that the people who watched it on the news were like as traumatized as if they had been there. Like the
PTSD.
literally, like when you can get yourself that wound up in a thing and in what is going on in society and staring down the hole of doom scrolling and whatever, and overconsumption of news sometimes, and overconsumption of everything, and taking in too much information overload and all that stuff.
I know.
And then you're in a place where you can't actually sift through any of it properly because the anxiety's running this train.
Well, it's like dying human. Funny toaster.
Yeah.
Shopping bag.
Yeah.
Suffocation.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Drowning. Like
Yeah.
dolphin.
Oh,
It's
my
just,
friends in Mexico.
It's the contrast that I didn't ask for. Like I said, I'm a
Right.
sucker for contrast. And I
Right.
said I like both things at once, but
Yeah.
that's actually like 20,000 things at once
Dang.
a second a day, and
Yeah.
it has manipulated our
Mhm.
approach to thinking and
Mm,
everything.
facts.
Yeah, really just
Yeah,
ramps
seriously.
it up.
And the posture of today.
Mm.
It's detrimental to holding the phone down here.
No, just being like,
looking over.
I literally
Yeah.
It's
have,
detrimental for your spine.
I
Yeah.
have nerve problems in my neck from tech neck.
No.
Yeah.
Man.
I know. I'm like regularly.
Especially when you do
treating
tech
it.
tech
stuff
jobs.
hurts.
It's constant. I'm in constant tightness.
No.
And I have
You get massage?
regularly chiropractic appointments once a week.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, it is hopefully fixable.
but massage.
Massage, it's a nerve problem. So the nerve inflames the muscles, but
Yeah.
the muscles need to be released sometimes. But
I had
Yeah.
some neck problems at one point,
yeah.
and it was also connected to my knees
Well,
problems, and my lower back
Yeah.
at the time was hurting as well. And I went to the masseuse who works at the co-working space I work at,
oh.
and she like put her hand on my neck. It was crazy. I couldn't turn past here.
Mm.
And this way, no, at all. And she put her hand on my neck, and she closed her eyes, and she said, "Oh, you got some nerves," or she said something more specific. But then she gave me a massage a couple days later, and a couple days after that, I was fixed.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's
like,
wild.
Permanently.
because I had a knot. I don't have neck problems right now, but they could come up someday. But yeah, I had a knot underneath my shoulder blade, and she said, "Oh, you got a knot. We could work that out." And I said, "Yeah,
sometimes
how long
it
will
can
that
just
take?"
be in a place where it'll fuck everything up.
Yeah, but then she just said, "Oh, we can do it right now." I was like, "How many sessions do I have to do to get this knot removed?" And she just did it,
Yeah.
Mm.
and then everything was smooth sailing energetically. I think the
Mm.
Chinese medicine does a lot of that
Mhm.
flow stuff.
Yeah, my buddy said he
She-
went to see someone recently, and he
Mhm.
just said, "Show me your tongue," because he was having really bad stomach problems. He said, "Show me your tongue," and he was like, "Okay," and then he was like, "All right, give me a minute," and he like brought him back this like concoction to take, and he was like, felt amazing after.
Wow.
But he could tell what was going on with him just from the color and the sight of his tongue and
Right,
stuff. Like
and checking
just-
out the
and
humors.
just like looking at him, just being like, "All right, here's what's up."
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Healing.
Healing.
Good idea.
Humor and
Yeah.
healing.
Humor, healing. But the 4 humors are a Chinese practice. You know this one?
That's another thing they
Eyes,
separate
No.
us from.
No. You're thinking of senses, and there are 5 or 6.
No, I was thinking of the way that you can see someone's health in Chinese
Mm.
medicine, because my friend is trained in it, and you can look at
Eyes.
people's people and their tongues.
Nose?
And
Throat? Eyes. You already
um,
said eyes.
Eyes and tongue. But sorry, what were
Oh,
you
yeah.
gonna
The
say?
4 humors are like yellow bile, black bile, blood, and
Pus? Maybe.
that's not one that I've studied in depth. I got acupuncture one time, and I was not into it. But maybe
I got
some
it
other
once, and
time.
I found it pretty helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
couldn't
would,
sit
but
there still. Like, there are needles in me, and I'm like, oh, I gotta move around.
yeah, see, I didn't have they were so small. I felt
Right.
like they weren't that intrusive.
Mm.
But I don't. I'm not great for having to have a blood draw needle that sits there. That feeling irks me,
Right.
or like an IV irks me. But
Mhm.
like tattoos or like acupuncture needles, not as bad. It's
Yeah, yeah.
weird. It's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
weird thing.
And you're also in such a relaxed state. I feel like in the best case
Yeah.
scenario, like you're doing acupuncture and you're lying on a table with your face in the hole.
I was laying on the blanket in the grass.
Brah.
I was at a festival. There was a guy doing acupuncture at a festival.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right on.
Nice.
Right on.
What's your next art project look like? What does it feel like, maybe, but don't know what it looks like?
I haven't been doing too much art, although I'm trying to put together some older stuff
Cool.
into some more sharing spaces.
That's good.
I actually really appreciated that you were looking for to read my
Your
mind
poem?
or whatever. And because I never ever share my writing. Like
Mm.
sometimes I'll send it to individual people, but I really have an interest, and ever since I was a kid, in sharing my writings. Since probably the first grade, I've been like, I want to be a writer. And I think I'm going to work on some of that, like a newsletter or something, because a book seems really heavy.
A newsletter is a
Like-
good way of getting into the practice.
And
of
plus, a
Right.
writing
newsletter
book.
can still become a book if you get enough
Right.
things from it you want to turn into a book.
Because I'm big into journaling.
I could tell because what I was
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like I just got like a snapshot of your journal, like
The piece of
basically.
writing, though, was more curated and more edited than it normally is.
Those 16 pages was curated
The
and edited?
5,000 words that I worked on.
You could just
actually,
because
like,
I
was
say that
taking
because
stuff
it
out.
seemed like you were just like, I'm gonna just be raw here
Stream
and
of
show you all these
consciousness.
things because it was things that were there were things you shared that were like quite personal, and I was
Right.
like, I felt like it was very
Slow.
yeah, I felt like it
Mm.
was very
Stream of
awesome
consciousness
to be able to
over.
like read that to be let into that window of your brain, because there's a lot like I've written stuff myself for years, like similar things going through my thoughts,
Mhm.
some things that resonated a lot with things I'd read in yours, that like same way I would hesitate to show them to people.
True.
And Tasha very well, but we don't know each other very well, so
Right.
it's a very vulnerable thing to be like, okay, here's
Mm.
some of my inner monologue,
Yeah.
someone I don't know super well. So I felt like I
Right.
was like, all right, that's why I read all of it. I was like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
really dive in and see what I can
Right.
take from this, and what
that's a good
is
point.
interesting.
And to bring back more than a skin bag with a semi-conscious homunculus piloting, like the art that I make feels like it's not me.
Performative.
What's the thing? It's
Like
once
channeling.
I make the art, I channel to make it, and then once it's made, I'm like, this represents me in a way, but I'm not really sure what to do with it now. I'm not sure who needs to see this, or I have a room
The
full of
purpose
paintings.
can just be to be made.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do really enjoy the process, especially making really huge paintings.
Yes.
Dog.
The best.
For weeks and
Murals?
weeks.
But do you feel sometimes there's a push, there's some sort of invisible push that
Yeah.
like your intuition is telling you like something needs to happen, but you don't know what? Like, oh, like someone maybe needs to see this. Maybe
The
it doesn't
thought
apply to
process,
everything, but you're like, okay,
yeah.
there's something telling me that it's more than just making it.
True, because it is a mythology. It's a practice of bringing the story from my life, stories that I consume every day, media that I consume,
Yeah.
stories that I consume. I'm a big reader, so a lot of references happen in my
Yeah, I
art.
could tell.
And
He
then,
loves his books, does he?
and then I really wanna. I don't think I could do an accent at the moment.
You really want to what?
I really want to do an accent. Just kidding.
Give it a
I
try.
want to put my art into the human canon.
Yeah.
Because this is something that was coming up for me in my thought process as we were talking a little earlier about human history in terms of a mythology and this crazy, feels like transition period that we're all going through in this world right now.
Something's changing
The
big.
economy, politically,
There's big change afoot.
like everything, everybody has some kind of stresses going on.
Planet itself.
The planet itself.
Mhm.
It was Earth Day yesterday. I heard one person say Happy Earth Day. What was with that?
There was a lot of Earth Day stuff on the radio I was listening to,
Oh,
but that's
radio.
because I was on the
Fine.
Right.
the.
I saw one thing. I was so disappointed.
Mm.
It's Earth Day yesterday. Happy
Mhm.
Earth Day.
There were a
Happy
few things
belated
going on. There
Earth
were
Day.
some beach cleanups and stuff. You
Oh,
just
yeah?
might not have seen about it, but yeah,
Yeah.
there was a few activities going on. There were some beach cleanups and some
Okay,
park
cool.
activities. So yes, there was some
Okay,
stuff
right,
going on.
right.
But there should still be more.
There should be
Like
more.
we should be making a big deal about it, especially because
Yeah.
the Earth is dying.
Yeah.
Let's give
So
her a
what I
send
was
off at
saying
least.
is these kinds of periods of great strife often bring about a boom of creativity.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a renaissance. That's like
That's
I
the
was
word.
I expected it to come after COVID. Like I thought
Yeah.
there was going to be everyone was shut in, and I think it has in a
It's
sense.
ramping up.
But I think there's just because there was still more to happen,
yeah.
and so I think we're going to be. I'm really interested to see how things change and how much of it will happen even in my lifetime.
Yeah.
But
I have been preaching, or not, I don't know. I've been talking about revolution for a long time.
Yeah.
like I hesitated. You're like I can't say I've been
I'm
preaching
not
about
preaching.
revolution. I'm not gonna.
I'm not preaching.
You're like I don't want people to
about
think
it,
I'm the
but
guy with the sign on the
I
corner.
sometimes
The end
talk-
is near.
Right, the end is nigh. Yeah, ringing my bell.
I just
Repent!
because in the experience growing up in like being in the religious sense is like there is that caution of I'm not
Right.
gonna say this that way because everyone will immediately visualize this thing.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a good point
Well, the
too.
good
Yeah.
teacher is a cautious teacher.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Right.
But you've been talking about it for a long time.
Yeah, long time
Yeah.
and being frustrated, disappointed. And sometimes I get depressed and sometimes I just have to laugh at the news. I'm like,
Mhm.
this is so ridiculous. How do you have such lies? It's obvious. Everybody knows that it's lies.
Yeah.
Like, just revolt.
And the lies just fuel it.
What's going on?
itself.
Yeah, we literally if we all just band together, it would
Yeah,
just take
it's like
nothing. But we
In
don't.
Finding
yeah.
Nemo, Finding Nemo, when they all band together, they're like, swim down.
Yeah,
Come on.
Yeah.
Like,
we all swim down, you
come
guys.
on.
Just take the lesson from
That's a good
Nemo.
point.
Just
Nemo it up.
One of us.
I love that.
That's why I think artists need to
Yeah.
continue to channel this
Mhm.
because it's actually the truest form of authentic
Mhm.
expression, and in that it is the least supported.
Yeah.
But
True.
but it's gotta
which
happen.
then perpetuates the cycle of not wanting to share it because
Right.
you don't feel supported, which is
Yeah.
another thing you mentioned.
So
in
that
your
was the
writing.
other thing. I'm glad you brought that up again because I had a period of my young adult life where it would have been so crucial to my growth to have a mentor.
Yeah.
Oh my
Same,
God.
yeah.
To have that person be like, I don't know, this good, this maybe go back to this way.
Even just like encouraging you to
art of
share it and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Apprenticeship for sure.
Yeah,
but
apprenticeship is a huge thing.
mentorship.
Mentorship
was
is a
what
big
I
thing,
really
yeah.
needed, because it
Totally.
needed to be like more multi-dimensional of a growth as a person
Yeah.
than like an apprenticeship would be in a craft.
Skills. Yeah.
Well,
You're
this
gaining
is
skills.
Something
honing
that
skills.
gets lost too in our individual self-focused society is we're separated by generations. Like we
Mm.
have the boomers, we have like our millennial generation, we have the Gen Zs, we have everyone, and they're all doing their own thing and they're all situated with their own peers.
Yeah.
So you're not intermingling
Right.
enough unless you really put yourself out there
Mm.
to intermix with people outside of your experience range.
That's a good point.
And I see a lot in other cultures, like where they all live with their family members. They
Yeah.
all like
They
cohabitate
stay in the same
together.
house for years. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
they all
They
like
support each other so that the kids have a better shot going
Yeah.
out in the world.
totally,
Yeah.
and just like community-minded
Mhm.
culture where you're all like self-supporting each other. Like that still can exist, the mentorship thing, but right in this day and age, you
Mhm.
gotta hustle for it.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah.
find it. and
Hustle,
it's so
bustle,
hard.
side hustle.
Yeah, exactly.
Side bustle.
Side bustle.
Come
Get it all
on.
in there.
Too much.
So I think my question is along this like path of yours, and with now that you're in a space where, because I know that the difference in showing art also depends on if it's a 10 out of 10 day or if it's a 1 out of 10 day.
Facts.
And on a 1 out of 10 day, you'd be way less likely to want to show anybody anything you
Indeed.
made because your brain is being a dick and it's
Right.
being like, no, this is good.
True. I actually have a philosophy
But-
about the 1 out of 10 to 10 out of 10 is that I don't dip below a 4
That's good.
because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 limbs.
That's a fucking
If I
randomest
lost a
thing I've
limb,
ever heard,
I
but
could
that's
dip
hilarious.
below a 4.
Okay, I see the logic now. I see that. Yeah, but that's funny. I like that. That's a good way of putting it there. That's the scale is 4.
If I'm
is
at
the
a
low.
4,
then
worry.
then we worry. So that'll
Sorry,
be
I
the
interrupted
check-in.
you, but go ahead.
You can always be like, you guys, I'm at a 4, and we'll know.
Yeah,
We'll know.
exactly.
But no, it's fine. And I'm with ADHD, interrupting is the thing, so it's fine.
You have it written
Um,
down anyway.
I do. Yeah, that's why I write things down
Right
because
on.
then I don't lose my train of thought.
circle back.
But it just this part where you're talking about anger and hatred of things around you going from the other direction inward and being critical of your own art and thinking that if you had something perfect to show them, things would be different. But so have you gotten to a place in working through these things and stuff where you feel like sometimes things are done and it's okay to share them even if your brain is telling you it's not perfect?
Finished is better than perfect.
Finished is better than perfect.
Yeah.
Are you at that place now? Do you feel a little, or like it's a daily thing,
No.
obviously? No, but
No.
you're trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. What am I supposed to do with paint?
You showed us this stuff too, though. Like this is
the
show-
writings maybe more.
Yeah,
but,
maybe
like,
easier to
Do
show.
they need a package? Do they need a cover? I don't know what they're supposed to be. Like there a lot of essays. I could do a blog. Do I have to make my own website from scratch and learn to
No,
code?
you could just blog. No, that's the thing. See, that's what stops us all the time. We think too
Right.
much about the steps.
Yeah. From
and you're
scratch.
just do. You don't have to do it from scratch. You can just
Right.
find a spot and do it. You could
Yeah.
even just do what people do with, like, if your Instagram is a thing you already use, you can just post an image of artwork and
Yeah.
then writing underneath it and in a
Yeah.
blog format, and you don't have to make a website at all.
Mm.
You
can
could do it in a
outsource
many
the-
different
The
ways.
delivery part.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You could get someone to
Oh,
help
you don't
with
always
that.
have to be alone.
No.
That was
No,
great.
you
Yes.
fucking
You don't
weirdo.
always have to be alone.
Right.
Right. I don't have to do it all
Don't ask
myself and
for
learn all the
help.
skills myself.
Yeah. That's like a constant battle. Is
That's
defeating
so
the
real though.
resistance
That your
and the
brain is.
Right.
Do I have to code?
Do I have to learn to
So
code?
many
Because I tried, but it wasn't. really my thing.
Gonna go all the way back
Brain
to the
station.
drawing board. We're getting close to the end of this time.
Oh,
Yes, we should wrap it up.
Okay,
which is
okay.
Where would you like people to connect with you? Do you want people to connect with you? And why would
Hmm.
you want people to connect with you?
yeah. So I'm working on. I haven't been working on it lately, but it's been percolating for a number of years. It's
That's weird.
It's like an art collective.
It's like exactly what I'm working on.
What's
too.
mine?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine's called On Air.
Cool.
It's right now. I've got a email address that I can't recall. It's like
Is it on your CV?
maybe probably not though. It's onairartscollective@gmail.com.
Hell yeah.
And so I have a Substack.
Cool.
That's where the newsletter would be.
Oh, no, then
If
you have
wanna-
a thing already.
If
You
you
just
want to
put your writing on
email,
Substack.
if you want to subscribe to the Substack,
Yeah.
if you want to Substack then I will send you facts.
Hell yeah.
Substack facts. Okay.
Substack facts. But no, not FAX. I don't have that.
Not yet.
I don't
Yeah.
think it's a...
Dream big.
You can still fax.
You can
You
fax.
can still fax.
I've never
My
faxed
friend- my
once.
Now they
always
even have
goes
digital
straight-
fax, so you can
straight
like
What
if,
does that mean?
if you have so there's apps now where if you gotta fax something to someone and you're like that's dumb, I don't have a fax machine, you can take a picture on your phone and it'll create like a temporary fax
All
number.
right, if you want
and
me to
send it.
fax you some art,
I
will
would
do
like
it.
a
Write
fax.
your address
FAX.
on a piece of paper. Mail
Yeah,
it
mail
to
it
me.
to
me.
you.
I will
And
mail
then
it.
we will
Mail it to
to
me
Jacob.
at
It'll
Manson's
be
Landing.
yeah, and
I
then
will.
I have a
back.
P.O. box.
What kind of people are you wanting to collaborate with in the future?
But yeah, I don't have to be alone. Right.
No, because our podcast is all about the local art scene.
Oh,
and, like,
yeah.
ways of making our arts community better, and like lots of different
Mm.
kinds of artists have reached out.
What's going on at the Victoria Event Center?
It's gone.
It's been bought by paparazzi, so it's gonna be
Oh,
called.
paparazzi.
It's gonna be called. Oh fuck! I
Oh,
forget what it's gonna be
wait,
called.
I remember
but
the
it's,
question I was going to
it's gonna be similar. They're gonna do early shows and then DJs, like similar to like Lucky Bar.
My question was also like, why did you want to be on the pod? And, like,
Right.
what are you looking for to talk to the world more?
Yeah, I wanted to reintroduce myself. My name is Jacob. Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years.
That's so hip hop
Right?
of you.
I think so.
That's very hip hop of you.
That's what I was going for.
Mm.
Been here for years. I'm the new Jean-Michel.
Now you could actually do a mic drop since you're sitting on a
Ball.
bunch of pillows too.
Mic drop. Yes.
It doesn't hurt the mic when you're sitting on pillows.
Excellent. Yeah, we're happy to have you.
I'm so happy this worked out. Yes.
Yeah,
I
I'm
practiced
really,
that.
really stoked to see. You're
That's
gonna have a really
awesome.
cool summer
Yeah.
out on Cortez.
Yeah.
And making some really fancy food.
And try to bring my typewriter, so I'll
Fuck yeah.
photocopy it, send it
Sweet.
to all the people
Sweet.
via fax.
Great.
Via
Fax,
fax.
no printer. It's gonna
I
be
guess I
great.
could mail it. I could write a thing on
Handwritten.
typewriter,
People used to do that.
Seal it with wax.
seal it with wax.
So if
I
you
have
guys-
my family
if
seal.
We're
Yeah.
gonna start a GoFundMe
Sure.
for Jacob's stamp.
I have
budget.
stamps,
He's- no, I'm set. I have
so-
stamp.
but I'll take. Yeah, if you want to get.
Yeah, please donate to Jacob's
Money.
stamp collector items.
Right. I need a
And then
rainbow
maybe he'll
Charizard
come-
for my
Stamp
friend.
collect-
He'll
Collectors
come
don't
back
use
and do
those
an
stamps.
awesome extra, like another epic play for us about
Right.
being a man with lots
Check
of
it out on
stamps.
YouTube.
yeah,
It has
we'll watch it
11
play on YouTube.
views right now.
And then
So
that's
awesome.
amazing. I love
I
that.
wanted
And then
to jump to 105.
105. I like that. And then yeah, maybe when you where are you going? You said you're going
Cortez
to.
Island.
Cortez
Oh, nice.
Island.
For how long?
6 months or so.
Oh, so you're definitely coming back with some kind of play, or some kind of
Mm.
craziness,
Last time I was there, I barely did any art.
or
at
you'll
all.
come back with the leader of a new cult.
New cult. That would be a good name
Could
for
be
it.
it. See, we're starting already.
A new cult.
There you go.
There you go.
So keep your eyes peeled for a new cult coming. Coming for Jacob.
Yes. I
Sweet.
was gonna call you both religiously traumatized, but I don't want to speak for you.
I
I'm
ain't-
just
I ain't.
only
Nah,
speaking
he's
for
not.
her.
He's
Nah,
still in
don't
the.
worry about
He's
that.
still in the soup. He's good. He's fine.
Yeah, the soup is good.
Yeah,
It's
It's
true,
he's
got
right.
percolating.
You got the
bay
magic
leaves
dust.
and yeah, spices
Cool.
and chicken.
I went back to my roots, my pagan ways.
Come on.
Thank you for
Yeah.
chatting. Thank you for sharing. It only makes me want to talk to you more, but
Yeah, it's
unfortunately,
great. It's been
I have
awesome.
to talk to.
Yeah, they are
200 other
messaging, being like,
artists.
"Where's
Hard
the?"
out.
Oh,
Ah,
Ozio
snakes.
made a link already, so
No.
you're good. The meeting link has been
I
created.
thought you saw a snake.
Snakes in my bed. Snakes in the squish nest. On that
There's
note,
snakes
thank
in
you
my
for
bed.
coming. Thank you for being on the pod. We appreciate it.
We want to thank everyone who made Squish happen. Specifically, we would love to thank Elena Alstrom and Renata Baldwin for the wonderful background music for our intro and outro, as well as all of our vocal squishers who offered your cute little voices.
So adorable. We love you so much.
I want to thank Katie for editing together our intro and outro soundtrack.
And Tash for doing the video editing and a bunch of great graphic design work.
That's right, we're thanking ourselves because we fucking did this bitch. Yeah, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for sticking around, and we hope to catch you on the next episode.
Heck yeah. Thanks to everyone for being part of it.
Love you. Love you.